Valparaiso University football is underwritten by the following. Specializing in sports medicine, the Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic continues their strong support of local athletes. Each Saturday morning, local athletes are invited to attend a sports injury assessment clinic from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic, 2501 Cumberland Drive in Valparaiso. Hollywood Star Limo for business or pleasure, weddings, airport, proms, riverboat trips. You can make any event special when you travel like the stars. Hollywood Star Limo, 1-800-230-7393.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Valparaiso University football. No game this past Saturday, but still some highlights to show you. We'll focus in on the defense in the first half of today's program. We'll also welcome in the standout linebacker of the Crusaders, Jeff Seymour, and defensive coordinator, Bob Canney. How you doing, everybody? Todd Eichel along with the head coach of the Crusaders, Tom Horne. Still smiles because still unbeaten, although no ball game this week, Coach.
No ball game this week, so I got in a couple golf games last week, kind of kicked back and relaxed a little bit.
But actually, still a lot of work that needed to be done. It actually just gives you an extra week to prepare for Milliken. We'll focus in on Milliken a little bit later on in the program, but I know this was good from the standpoint you had some kids a little banged up, and also good because Milliken, a very good football team, always nice to have that extra week to prepare.
Yeah, we have 5 kids banged up that may not have played last Saturday. We had Josh Burning with a shoulder injury. We had Scotty Heinrichs with a bruised lung, and I don't know if he'll be ready to play next week. Kevin McHale with a slightly twisted knee. We had Saul Shahid with an elbow injury. So there were some people that wouldn't have played for us that were very key performers for our program.
Okay, and Milliken was a winner this past week as well, and they look to have another solid team, always over the 500 marks. They'll be a formidable foe.
Well, Coach Carl Parker has told some other coaching friends of his that he feels he may have the best team he's ever had. He's been there 18 years and had some great teams, a team that snapped Augustana's 54-game winning streak about 5 years ago. So he's had great teams. He runs a great program there, and they'll be an extremely formidable foe for us on Saturday.
Okay, and as we roll the highlights, we'll not only show you some defensive highlights from the season opener a week and a half ago against St. Ambrose, Coach, but we'll also show you some Milliken highlights from a year ago, focusing in on the defense and a kid who really has come along, Tom Cunningham.
Yeah, Tom dropped his body fat, dropped a little bit of weight last year, and is really doing a great job.
There's a block punt by Doug Holock. I'm going to show you the block punt because that could be a key play in this Saturday's game like it was a year ago against Milliken.
Well, we feel we can block a punt on just about everybody, and Coach Bernardi does a great job lining up the opponent's punt team and taking a look at where the weak spots are and exploiting them.
Ronnie Sazzone makes a real good play here, and again, in your defense, Bob Canney loves to attack, and we see a play there by John Palyak, but you'll see the guys in the secondary make a lot of plays.
Yeah, secondary people, of course, are going to play some man coverage because we're attacking. We're sending more than 4 people at the quarterback or the anti-running game type blitzes, and we want to attack. We want to swarm the football and get after people, make them make the mistakes.
John Harrington, a sophomore, who I know you feel has a lot of ability, came up with a fumble right there. We're going to see a nice play by Josh Burning. A little banged up after this ball game against St. Ambrose, but it looks like he'll be able to go on Saturday.
Yeah, he's had that shoulder injury now for a couple of years, and it's just something that keeps bothering him. We're going to put him in a shoulder harness for the rest of the season and keep his shoulder together so he can play.
Mentioned Tom Cunningham really coming along. We see him cause a fumble, although as you can see the referee ruling incomplete pass, but Tom Cunningham able to get in there and again had a real active day in the season opener.
He's got a lot of speed and quickness, more so than he had even last year, and he's a very strong weightlifting-wise individual and really comes off the edge and puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback immediately.
Another strong kid you have, John Palyak, former Hobart Brick. He made a play in the backfield there, and we talk about special teams being a key part of a key component for your team, and one of the main reasons is because of this guy, Ozzie Young.
Absolutely. And there's some defensive players that do a lot of playing on our special teams. People that can run and hit people and get out in front of people like Ozzie and block for them.
The hit of the week in week 1 went to Shane Snyder. That's no surprise. And actually, although Shane gets up, this tackle stung him as well.
Yeah, Shane had a real mild concussion after this. It must have been this hit. I mean, he had it after the game, but he didn't. recollect during the game when it happened, but I'm assuming it was that hit there.
So the final highlight we'll show you from season opener, an interception by Scott Latsky to end the ball game, and that ended a 34-12 victory over Brown Field back on September 3rd.
And Scotty's a key backup person on defense, as well as does a lot of things for us on special teams.
We moved to the Milliken game a year ago in Decatur. This was an outstanding game. 36-34, Crusaders won it. And here's a great play by Jeff Seymour, one of the key plays in the game.
Yeah, Jeff did a great job of batting the ball down, or actually batting it to himself, picking it off and intercepting it.
There's another key point in last year's game. We're going to see Saul Shaheed make a great play downing a punt. Watch the effort, downed it at the 1 yard line. And this would all lead to a Crusader touchdown, and we're going to show you how.
Yeah, there's 3 plays here right now. As you can see, we're in kind of a goal line defense. They're in a goal line front, although they're not trying to score. They're trying to get away from their own end zone here so they can either get a first down or get a decent punt off.
They're just trying to pound the ball. They try to go between guard and tackle there. We've got a good fullback in Kirby, a good tailback in Porter, another good running back in Olasov, and we see a great play by Shane Snyder with a first down saving tackle, and that allows Saul Shaheed to get in there and block a punt, leading to a Crusader touchdown.
Shows his athletic ability there. Just climbs over the personal protector, blocks the punt, and Ted Compton picks it up and walks in the end zone with it.
This was actually a great little run for Saul Shaheed. The block punt, and now we're going to see a big hit on a kickoff. This is Olasov, who takes it from about 7 yards deep. Probably would have been better off staying in because Saul knocks him down at about the 11-yard line.
You know, Olasov's a 228-pound tailback. So not only does he have decent size, he has great speed as well.
See a fumble here by Milliken, as this is some second-half highlights from a year ago. An interception coming up right here by Shane Snyder. We saw fumble recovery by Matt Culp, and a great pick right there.
Right. That was a key there because they're going down to score and trying to put a 10-point cushion on us.
Tom Cunningham, nice play stopping the option. Will they run much option, Coach?
They run the option, toss sweep, and fullback trap, and kind of what they call a fullback belly kind of a series, belly option series. Those are the types of things we have to stop against Milliken.
Final highlight we have for you is a play by Andre Murphy. Knocks down a pass. And there you have it. Crusaders last year, a 36-34 winner over Milliken, and obviously you had the offense going against them a year ago, scoring 36 points.
Right, and our defense was still coming together at that time last year. It took us till about the Butler game defensively to really come together and play well. We're way ahead of last year defensively, way ahead. Offensively, we think we're ahead, but not as far as the defense is ahead of themselves last year. So we're looking for a real tough ball game against Milliken, very formidable foe. They've got 18 starters coming back. It's going to be a tough scrap for us at Brown Field.
Okay, and we come back, scores from around the Pioneer Football League we'll have for you. We'll check the standings, and we'll bring in a couple guests as well. That's all when Valparaiso University football returns right after this.
Valparaiso University football is underwritten by the following. First National Bank of Valparaiso, with 13 offices throughout Porter County, working hard to meet the needs of the community. First National Bank of Valparaiso offers simple fixed-rate car loans with fast, personal, pre-approved service. First National Bank of Valparaiso, strengthening their commitment to Porter County. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender. Finley Construction, serving the building needs of commercial and residential properties throughout Northwest Indiana. Finley specializes in designing and building your new construction, remodeling, addition, and restoration projects. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Finley Construction, 462-2726.
Mike's Sporting Goods, your team sports professional. Mike's has NFL and college team crews and jackets from Starter, Russell, and others. A great selection and Mike's great value. For your team sport needs, Mike's has it. Shoes from Nike, Reebok, Converse, plus uniforms, trophies, custom screen printing, school jackets, equipment, and more. Mike's Sporting Goods, Maryville, Crown Point, Hobart, and Michigan City.
And by the financial support of viewers like you.
Welcome back, everybody. Boy, a lot of scores to check. Although the Crusaders were not in action, everybody else in the conference was. So let's go to the scoreboard, and we'll see that everybody in the conference now has a victory, and everybody but Valparaiso and Drake with a loss. So there you go. And St. Mary's was a big winner over San Diego out west, Coach.
St. Mary's out of the L.A. area. 52-21 winner over San Diego, the Toreros, where we go out and play in a couple of weeks.
Butler gets off the Schneid with a victory over St. Xavier, so the Bulldogs now 1-1.
42-6 win. St. Xavier in the second year of their program, struggling a little bit, but they're trying to make progress.
Elsewhere, Drake over Simpson, so Drake now 1-0. That was their season opener. Big rivalry there in Iowa, right?
Big rivalry. They've got some cup or something they play for over there in Iowa. I don't know what it is, but it's a big rivalry.
And Thomas More, Evansville West, 29-22, that final score, Coach.
Yes, Thomas More is out of the northern part of Kentucky, and
they're relatively neighboring schools, right?
Not too far away, just I-64 over, and just cut right up to Thomas More land.
Evansville 1-1, as is Dayton. For the second year in a row, Alabama Birmingham knocks off the Flyers.
The UAB, their first year in football, had 72 players out, all freshmen. So they've really built their program up. I think this is the third or fourth season now they've had football.
Okay. So as we check the standings, two teams unbeaten, and the remainder of the conference all at 1-1. Valparaiso Drake on top, and the rest of the conference 1-1. So right now, Coach, things looking good.
Well, they look great. I mean, when you have W's on one side, no losses, it's always looking good. However, those are non-conference standings. Really, we haven't had any conference games
right
by anybody. Next week, I think Drake
and
plays
San Diego.
Yeah, it'll be a first conference match.
Okay, so there you have it, and let's continue our defensive conversation as let's now welcome in defensive coordinator Bob Canney, and we welcome in Jeff Seymour, inside linebacker, leading returning tackler off last year's team. Bob, assistant head football coach, defensive coordinator, a lot of duties for you, but the main duty, of course, defense, and I know you decided to change tactics a little bit, maybe even be a little more aggressive than you have been in the past couple of years, go get them, sort of the Bears 46 defense, looking at those sort of options this year?
Definitely in the off-season, Coach, we took a look at it, and we felt as far as personnel that being more aggressive, looking at some things to feature the talent that we had would really be in our best interest.
And maybe we can go into some more details on why. Do you have kids that can really fly to the football?
Well, we have real good team speed. We had real good, a strong returning secondary. So as far as a man emphasis, as far as the coverage, we really felt we could do that. Of course, we lost stalwart and Scotty Petcue,
right.
The big old-time linebacker. And the linebackers that we have, like Jeff, can really run. Josh Burning can really run. Our defensive linemen can run real well. So it really fit as far as logically what we had coming back and what they could do.
And Tom Cunningham increased playing time this year. We saw some highlights with him. Another kid who fits right in with that scheme, right?
Well, Tom is very aggressive, and what we're asking Tom to do is exactly according to Tom Cunningham's personality.
Tom Horne, how about the sort of change in defensive philosophy a little bit this year?
Well, I think it was needed based upon the personnel we had, based upon the people who were playing. We're not in a league anymore like the old Big Ten where it's 3 yards and a pile of dust. We don't need the big stalwart defensive linemen and the big heavy linebackers to go the anti-run, the anti-isolation play, the anti-toss sweep types of stuff. We're seeing a lot of passing, a lot of zone play, a lot of stretch plays, those kind of things. We need people that can come off blocks and get to the football.
And one guy who can really do that would be Jeff Seymour. And Jeff, an opportunity a year ago to move right into a starting spot as an inside linebacker and end up with over 100 tackles a year ago. That had to make you feel pretty good to be so active a year ago.
It was nice moving over to linebacker and finally getting comfortable after a few games. And by the end of the season, having over the 100 tackles, it was a nice sense of accomplishment that I actually had a pretty good season, but I knew I had to turn it up to get to next level of play like Scotty did.
As an inside linebacker and as a defensive captain, did Coach Canney talk to you about some of the changes, some of the things they'd like to do this year as compared to last year?
Well, he said that there's going to be a lot more responsibility for the defensive lineman to control the gap and control the line of scrimmage, so that would free up the linebackers to make the plays, and we didn't have to worry about trying to shed off an offensive guard or tackle to try and make the tackle.
Coach, a year ago, both inside linebackers over 100 tackles. Is that the idea? Is that the idea? Let the defensive players, the interior linemen, hold off the offensive linemen, allow the linebackers to run free a bit?
Well, if it happens, it happens. The reality, I mean, Eric Miller last weekend had a fantastic game.
Right.
They're going to cancel their gaps. We're not telling them that they have a responsibility to keep anybody off anybody, but they're going to cancel their gaps. The linebackers can roam a little bit freer. They should be finishing up hits, or if the ball bounces, they'll have the primary hit.
Let's talk about the linemen. You talked about Eric Miller, a lot of Northwest Indiana guys being a big part of the defensive line. Now, let's talk about some of the defensive linemen. You can start with Eric Miller, who saw some playing time last year, but now moves in as a full-time starter and came up big in week 1.
The biggest thing, Todd, as far as Eric is finally he looks great, but he's always had little nagging injuries. This year, he's healthy, and he's flying around. It's really exciting to see it for him. I mean, really finally getting on the field and fulfilling the potential that we knew that he had. You go with there and you get Matty Culp, who started last year 10 games as a freshman. He's a never-say-die guy. He's going to always be flying the football. He's going to give you everything that he has.
Well, he's a little undersized to be in the interior line, right?
But it's, not to use the old euphemism, it's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Right.
And Matt Culp is somebody that I would want right by my side if I was going to war.
Okay. Of course, John Harrington now is a starter who came on and really played well by the end of last year as a true freshman.
John Harrington is only going to get better. He's going to continue to grow. He listens. He always gives you maximum effort. I mean, you can say that about basically everybody that we're working with. They have great attitude, and they take coaching. They listen. They hear what's being said, and then they implement it. And that's what's exciting as a coach.
And the other defensive lineman to touch on, John Paliak?
John Paliak, well, what can you say? Hobart Bricky. He's got that work attitude, with their little Hobart Bricky song. It's great to hear him sing it, but he lives it. I mean, he lives it, and he exemplifies it to the rest of the defensive linemen.
Okay. Coach, what are you looking for from the defense this year?
Well, I'm looking for them to get to the fight of the football and get after the quarterback. We don't want quarterbacks sitting back there and having 3, 4, or 5 seconds to throw, because if anybody does, they're going to hurt you. It doesn't matter who they are or who you're playing against. We've got to get after the quarterback, put pressure on them. We've got the speed to play man-to-man coverage on the outside, but we also want to get to the football in the running game and contain the quarterback and the bootleg, rollout types of things as well. We hadn't done a great job of that in the past either, and hopefully with the gap cancellation principle, which is a little different than the gap control defense, which we were running before, and which a lot of people still do run, is where you try and force double teams, control your gap, and then try and keep people off the linebacker. This is a whole different philosophy. So even though it looks similar to what we were running before, it's really a different thing.
Coach Canney, what was your grade on week 1? You only gave up 12 points. That's good. You won the football game. That's most important. So was it an A grading for the defense or no?
Not even close, Todd.
I had a feeling you might say that.
There was a ton of room for improvement, and that's, Coach Horne's been preaching to the team. The biggest improvement occurs between the first ball game and the second ball game. We have the extra week of practice, so hopefully we'll be able to get into the passing grade level.
Okay. Jeff, what are you expecting from the defense this year? What are some goals you have? Obviously, team goals to win each football game, but maybe some defensive goals. Do you have them?
Well, defensively, we wanted to obviously not let teams score as many points as they did against us last year. We gave up way too many points and had to rely on the offense some games to come back and really save us. Also, we want to get more pressure on the quarterback, like Coach Horne said. Not to give them a lot of time to look at our defense and get the ball off. And last, we just need to control the line of scrimmage. Okay, we see 104 tackles a year ago. Do you have a tackle goal for you? Do you set a tackle goal for yourself going into the season? Not really. I'd ideally like to do better than I did last year, but with this new defense and the way everybody's playing, like Eric and the defensive line, whatever happens. There'll be some games you have 5 tackles. There'll be some games you have 18 tackles, but you really can't control that. You just have to play your game.
Okay. Key play in the game last year, Coach Horne, was an interception by Jeff Seymour against Milliken, and it was a play where we got to see his great athletic ability.
Yeah, if Jeff would have stayed on the right side, I feel he might have had a touchdown, but he'll try and cut around the other way and make it tough on himself. And Jeff, by the way, has the speed to go the distance and score with the football. I
know you've talked about in the past few years on this program about his great athletic ability. At 225 or 230 pounds, you don't see a kid who can run, what, a 4.6 40? Exceptional.
How much does he weigh?
That's a good question.
Yeah, as you can see on the screen right here, and our viewers can as well, how far, his leaping ability.
Yeah.
Then the common sense to keep it in play, either for himself or one of his teammates, as we talked about in the past, the tip drill that they do on defense especially. And there he picks it off and tries to pick up the referee there as a blocker.
He uses him as a shield there, in fact.
The referee just missed blocking the fullback.
If he had blocked the fullback 35 on that play, that could have gone the distance.
Yes. But Jeff does have the speed to go the distance. He was a pretty good offensive player for us when he played tight end, and was a good offensive player.
Probably one of the most athletic defensive players of the year a season ago, right?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. We do have some highlights to show from Milliken, and we're going to have that coming up. They beat Franklin 25-0. I know you've watched the film of that game. What are some of the thoughts on what you saw?
Well, Franklin was coming off a pretty good season last year. I think they were 7-2 or 6-3. Lost some players, so they were kind of in the neophyte stages of rebuilding their program. And Milliken, according to Coach Pelker, has one of the better teams he's ever had there. So that's not a good opponent for Franklin to open with.
Okay, defensively, they appear to be very aggressive.
They're up in your face. They're looking like a Buddy Ryan type of attack defense. They play the old Pro 4-3, which looks like a 6-1 defense to most of our viewers, 6 down linemen and a middle linebacker. And they walk him up and walk the other linebackers up, as you see right here.
It's the first series of the game, and they're not hiding anything.
No.
Coming right after you. They're looking on defense.
And Franklin's not blocking all those people that are coming after the quarterback either, so he was running for his life pretty much the whole day. I think Franklin's quarterback completed his first pass early in the 4th quarter. So that's the kind of day Franklin had.
By the way, for Northwest Indiana fans, Scott Sherry out of Griffith, the quarterback for Franklin, and he was under heavy pressure all day long.
Heavy pressure. Very easy sack for them, and the guy standing over the center walks right past him to the quarterback before he can set the pass.
He's got an explosive player. Barry Neal is his name, and he went the distance on a punt return, and we're going to see a little later on he also caught a pass for a touchdown as well.
Yeah, and the next play you see is Mike Cole, their sophomore quarterback. Played a pretty good game against us last year as a freshman. He throws to Barry Neal right here on a little bit of a crossing route coming in towards the middle of the field there.
And we saw Neal's speed on the punt return. We see his ability to go over the middle. And we're going to see a little bit later on his ability to go deep. We talked about block punts being a key. You got one against them last year. They get one here for a safety.
That's got to be a caution flag for us. We've got to work hard on our punt team to make sure they can't get it at our punter.
This one covers 49 yards. Again, here's Neal beating the secondary down the sidelines for a touchdown. And he'll take his helmet off just so everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, the NFL acknowledgement thing there.
I didn't see him wiggle his ears, but he may have done it after the play. Here's our outstanding running back, LeJohn Scott.
Yeah, big back, 225 pounds with great speed.
They've got a good fullback as well, and Brad Kirby, who rushed for 827 yards a year ago.
And both those guys complement each other, kind of like Trevor Bell, Ozzie Young kind of a thing.
Noon's the kickoff time. Coach Canney, we saw some offensive weapons there for Milliken, right? A good receiver in Neal, good fullback in Kirby, good tailback in Scott. They're similar to the Crusaders offensively, where you're not quite sure who's the guy you need to stop is.
And it's not just Scott. The backup tailback, as you mentioned before, is very good. They have a backup fullback that's even bigger, about 230 pounds. So they have some weapons.
Okay. Is there a key? Is there something you're looking at it as maybe the #1 key?
We got to stop their running attack.
Okay. Force them to throw the football.
Exactly.
And then go get it in the secondary. A year ago, Coach, look at it, 36-34, another slugfest. And that was a game where you actually ran the ball better than threw the ball.
No, we had 220 yards passing the second, or 200 yards rushing the second half against Milliken. I think Trevor Bell had like 90 or 95 of those yards, so he was a big workhorse for us on the inside. So we had attacked the inside with Trevor, the outside with the tailback, and the quarterback in the option game.
Is it going to be a similar type game? You put 34 on the board against St. Ambrose. 70 points scored over there a year ago. I know Bob Canney would not like to see 70 points scored in this ball game. Now, last the Crusaders had 60 or 65 of them, right, Coach?
Why do you have to limit us to 65? Why can't it be 70 out of that?
What do you think? Is it going to be a high-scoring game? What can people expect?
I think with the progress our defense has made and Milliken's defensive scheme, that it could be a lot lower scoring game than it was last year. So we're going to work on a lot of things this week offensively. If they're going to put pressure on us, there's things we have to get done in practice to prepare for that.
Okay, there used to be first intra-conference game with San Diego goes to Drake, and what figures to be a good ball game. Drake had the fine year a year ago.
Drake went out there and I think beat him by 3 points at San Diego. San Diego coming in, their tailback last year had 200 yards against us, had 200 yards last in his first ball game. I think 212 yards, and if they can get number 20 unleashed for San Diego, it could be a long day for anybody.
Okay, Butler, Georgetown College. What can you tell us about that matchup?
Georgetown College, very good football program. Won a national title 2 years ago in NAIA Division I. It's a full scholarship school. Butler's going to have their hands full with Georgetown.
And Evansville, Kentucky Wesleyan was the other matchup. Hey, don't forget, coming up next week, we'll show you highlights of Milliken. We'll get you set to go for Kalamazoo College and more. We thank Bob Canney for joining us, defense coordinator, assistant head football coach, and Jeff Seymour, standout inside linebacker. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Tom Horne. We'll see you same time next week on Valparaiso University football.
Valparaiso University football is underwritten by the following. Specializing in sports medicine, the Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic continues their strong support of local athletes. Each Saturday morning, local athletes are invited to attend a sports injury assessment clinic from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Valparaiso Orthopedic Clinic, 2501 Cumberland Drive in Valparaiso.